There comes a quiet turning point in life when the world around you has not changed, but your way of hearing it has. Conversations still happen, people still come and go, the rhythm of daily life continues its familiar motion, and yet, somewhere within, a subtle shift begins. It is not loud, it does not demand attention, but it is there. A soft realization that constant connection has started to blur something essential, that being available all the time has quietly taken you away from the one place you rarely visit deeply, yourself. You keep responding, keep engaging, keep showing up. You fulfill expectations, maintain bonds, carry roles with grace. From the outside, everything appears intact, functional, even successful. But inside, something feels slightly out of reach. Not lost, just distant. And that distance is not created by absence, it is created by excess. Too many voices, too many expectations, too many subtle adjustments made in the presence of others. You adapt so often that your original shape begins to soften at the edges. This is where solitude begins to change its meaning. Not as loneliness, not as withdrawal, but as return, the return to inner stillness. Solitude, when embraced with awareness, is not an empty space, it is a clearing, a place where the echoes of others slowly fade, allowing your own voice to rise, not loudly, but honestly. At first, this silence can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. The mind, so used to constant stimulation, searches for something to hold on to, a message, a distraction, a reason to escape the stillness. But if you remain, if you allow the silence to stay without rushing to fill it, something remarkable begins to unfold. Your thoughts start to settle. Not all at once, but gradually, like dust falling back to the ground after a storm. And beneath that settling, you begin to notice things you had not heard in a long time. Your real fatigue, your unspoken desires, your quiet resistance to things you once accepted without question. These are not new truths, they are old truths finally given space to breathe. The weight of constant adjustment. One of the most subtle forms of exhaustion is not physical, but emotional. It comes from the continuous act of adjusting your tone to match someone else's mood, adjusting your opinions to maintain harmony, adjusting your presence so others feel comfortable. Individually, these moments seem small, almost harmless, but over time, they accumulate, and what begins as flexibility slowly becomes fragmentation. You are still present in your life, but not fully as yourself. Solitude interrupts this pattern. It removes the need to perform, to respond, to adapt in real time, and in that removal, it reveals something deeper. Not who you are in interaction, but who you are in absence, who you are when nothing is expected. That version of you is often quieter, less polished, but infinitely more real. Meeting yourself without distraction. There is a profound difference between being alone and truly meeting yourself. Many people spend time alone yet never encounter their own depth, because even in solitude, they remain distracted, filling the silence with noise, the stillness with stimulation. True solitude asks something different. It asks you to stay, to sit without reaching, to feel without escaping, to observe without immediately interpreting. And in doing so, you begin to notice patterns, the thoughts you repeat, the emotions you avoid, the truths you quietly carry but rarely acknowledge. This is not always comfortable, but it is deeply clarifying, because clarity does not come from adding more, it comes from removing what is unnecessary. The rebuilding of inner stability. When you are constantly surrounded, your emotional state can become dependent on external rhythms. Someone's attention lifts you, their distance unsettles you, their presence stabilizes you. It feels natural, even normal, but beneath it, a quiet dependence forms. Solitude gently disrupts this. When external anchors are removed, you are left with your own internal landscape, unfiltered, unassisted. At first, it may feel unstable, but if you remain with it, something begins to strengthen. You learn to sit with discomfort without immediately resolving it. You learn to feel without needing immediate reassurance. You learn that not every emotion requires external intervention. And slowly, your center begins to hold itself. This is emotional independence, not the absence of need, but the absence of collapse. The clarity of distance. Distance has a unique power, not to disconnect, but to reveal. When you step away from constant interaction, relationships begin to appear more clearly, not through analysis, but through the absence of noise. You start to see who brings calm and who brings confusion, who respects your boundaries and who depends on your flexibility, who remains meaningful even in silence, and who only exists through constant contact. This clarity is not harsh, it is honest, and honesty, though sometimes uncomfortable, is deeply freeing, because once you see clearly, you stop investing energy where it does not return truthfully. The quiet strength of self-reliance. There is a kind of strength that does not announce itself. It does not seek recognition. It does not prove anything to anyone. It simply exists. This strength is built in solitude, in the moments where you choose to stay with yourself instead of escaping, where you process your thoughts instead of outsourcing them, where you carry your emotions instead of immediately handing them to someone else. Each of these moments is small, but together they build something powerful, a quiet confidence, the kind that says, I can handle this, not because it's easy, but because I trust myself within it. The comfort of your own presence. Perhaps one of the most beautiful shifts solitude brings is this. You begin to feel at ease with yourself, not because everything inside you is perfect, but because you are no longer resisting it. Silence stops feeling empty. It starts feeling peaceful. Your own company stops feeling like something to escape. It becomes something you can rest in. And from that place, something changes in how you relate to the world. You no longer seek connection to avoid yourself. You seek connection to share yourself. And that difference transforms everything. Returning to the world whole. Solitude is not meant to isolate you from life. It is meant to prepare you for it. When you return from a place of inner clarity, your presence changes. You listen more deeply. You respond more honestly. You choose more carefully. You are no longer driven by urgency or hidden need. You are guided by alignment. And because of that, your relationships become cleaner, less dependent, less pressured, more real. You are there not because you need to be, but because you choose to be. A final reflection. Perhaps the greatest gift of solitude is not what it gives you, but what it returns. Your voice, your clarity, your center. It reminds you that beneath all roles, all expectations, all constant interaction, there is still a self that exists independently of everything else. A self that does not disappear when the world becomes quiet, only becomes visible. So do not fear being alone for a while. It is not a loss. It is a reconnection, a sacred pause where life gently whispers, come back to yourself. And when you do, you will not return to the world empty. You will return with something far more valuable.